So in today's session, we are going to discuss about the Force.com platform, and we have to understand what exactly the Force.com platform and what is the use. Why should we go for Force.com platform in Salesforce especially, and what we can do with the help of this Force.com platform, and what programming languages that we have in Force.com platform, and what is the significance of Apex programming language as part of Force.com platform. We'll see one by one, and we'll see the various fundamental building blocks that has been given by Salesforce as part of Apex programming. We'll see one by one. Now, so that already you know, Salesforce offers three classifications of cloud services to the customers on rental basis. Salesforce offers three classifications of cloud services to the customers. First one, SaaS. Second one, PaaS. Third one, IaaS. So Salesforce offers these three classifications of cloud services. So SaaS stands for software as a service. Second one, platform as a service. And the third one, infrastructure as a service. So these are the three classifications of cloud services offered by Salesforce to the customers on rental basis. So they're offering few ready-made softwares, they're offering platform, they're offering infrastructure services also to the customers, which can be accessible just with the help of browser and internet access. Because these are purely cloud services that already you know, cloud services can be accessible just with the help of browser and internet access. Without having any explicit installations inside the local device, directly we can access them by using browser and internet access from any device. It may be a desktop or a laptop or a smartphone or a tab or any other device which is having browser and internet access capability. Those devices are enough to access these cloud services. Now, till now, you have discussed about the SaaS part, that is purely Salesforce CRM. And then today we are going to discuss about the platform, that is Force.com platform. So as part of SaaS, Salesforce provides a ready-made built-in application that is called as Salesforce CRM. As part of SaaS, Salesforce offers a ready-made application called as a Salesforce CRM, which can be used to automate all your business processes. In order to automate your sales, service, and the marketing processes, whatever the features are required, all the features are available as part of Salesforce CRM. Now, till now, already you have discussed about the CRM and how to use, how to customize all these things you know. Now, whatever the CRM applications given by Salesforce, if that CRM application is not sufficient for my business, I'm into banking, I'm into finance, I'm into insurance or pharmaceutical or e-commerce. In this case, what about us? Do we have any built-in applications from Salesforce to automate our banking, finance, insurance applications? If no, do we have at least a platform from Salesforce which can be used to build our own custom applications by our own? Yes. Salesforce is not only offering a built-in CRM application, Salesforce offers a platform called as Force.com platform, which can be used to develop your own custom applications, depends upon our business needs. So, Force.com is a cloud platform offered by Salesforce, which can be used to build your own custom applications, depends upon our business needs. Then what kind of applications we can build? Any kind of applications, like it may be banking, finance, insurance, healthcare, pharmaceutical, e-commerce, supply chain, any kind of application, whatever you want, you can build. If you want to develop your own CRM application, you can develop your own CRM application also. So, whatever the CRM application given by Salesforce, if that CRM application is not at all suitable for your business needs, if you want to develop your own custom application based on your business needs, then we can go with the help of Post.com platform. So by using Post.com platform, we can develop any kind of application, whatever you want. Now, so as part of this Post.com platform, we have two programming languages are available. So to build the custom applications, definitely we have to write some piece of code. Because without writing the code, we can't build applications. We can't build the business logics. We can't design the user interfaces. So in order to build the custom applications, Salesforce provides two programming languages as part of Force.com platform. As part of this Force.com platform, we have two programming languages. First one, Apex programming language. Second one, Visual Force programming language. First one, Apex programming. Second one, Visual Force programming. This Apex programming has introduced by Salesforce in the year 2000. This Visual Force has introduced by Salesforce in the year 2007. So Apex programming has introduced in 2000 and Visual Force programming has introduced by Salesforce in the year 2007. So these are the two programming languages are available as part of Force.com platform, which is purely a cloud platform. It's purely a cloud platform which can be accessible just with the help of browser and internet access. Now, as part of this Force.com, we have these two programming languages, Apex and Visual Force. So both are cloud-based. Apex also a cloud-based programming. Visual Force also a cloud-based programming. Now, so now we can say Visual Force is almost outdated. Okay, Visual Force is almost outdated. So now to replace this Visual Force, we are using Lighting framework. That means Lighting Web Components. Lighting Web Components. Now, so now in today's session, we'll see what exactly this Apex programming and what is the use. We'll see one by one. So let's start with Apex programming. What exactly the Apex programming? What is the use? Now, let's see what exactly this Apex programming. Let me explain. So basically, Apex is a cloud-based programming language. Apex is a cloud-based programming language which can be used to build your own custom business logics. Like whenever we are building any applications also, it may be banking or finance, insurance, healthcare, any kind of application, whatever you want, upon building the business, upon building the applications, whatever the business logics that you want to build to do certain operations inside the application, so those business logics we can build by using Apex programming. Now, so as part of these programming languages, you might be aware of so many programming languages as of now. I think you might be aware of so many programming languages also as of now. Like for example, you might be aware of so many programming languages. Like for example, C programming language, C++, you might be aware of Java, you may be aware of some C sharp .NET. Like that, so many programming languages are available, okay, in IT industry. But what are the programming languages that we have as of now in IT industry? All these programming languages are purely on-premise. These are purely on-premise programming languages. On-premise means what? Which requires installation. We have to install these programming languages into your local device. Like for example, if you want to develop a small Java application, we have to install Java software into the local system. Then only we can able to write the business logic to build applications. If you want to use a C Sharp .NET to develop the application, we have to install .NET software into the local device. If you want to use C++, we have to install this. If you want to use Python, we have to install Python software also into the local system. That means these are all our required installations. So these are called as on-premise. So whatever the softwares requires installations into the local device first, those applications or those softwares are called as on-premise softwares. So on-premise applications requires pre-installation into the local device. But when coming to that cloud, when coming to the cloud-based programming, cloud applications won't require any installation. Cloud application won't require any installations. Directly we can access them just with the help of browser and internet access. That is a major flexibility. So as part of this Apex programming, Apex is a cloud-based programming language which doesn't require any installations, which can be accessible by using browser and internet access. This is the first major advantage that we have in Apex programming when compared with other programming languages available in IT industry. This is how Apex is different from other programming languages. Apex is a cloud based, and the remaining programming languages are purely on premise, which requires installations. Now, as part of this Apex programming, it purely supports object oriented programming principles. Apex purely supports object-oriented programming principles so that upon building the business logic through Apex programming, always we have to build the business logic with the help of classes and objects. So in Apex programming, each business logic should be implemented in the form of classes and objects. Every business logic should be implemented in the form of classes and objects because it purely supports object-oriented programming principles. So in object-oriented programming, if you want to implement any business logic, then we need to divide that business logic in the form of small reusable entities. Those are called as classes and objects. We'll see. When moving forward, we'll see what is a class, what is an object, how to define them, everything we'll see with the practical. Now, so now in this case, what is the main use of this Apex programming in Salesforce especially? Basically, Apex programming is especially used to build the business logics. Like for example, I think as of now, you know Salesforce CRM. We have used so many functionalities. Now, when you go to that Salesforce CRM, when you click on save button after filling up the data in the screen on the page layout, once you have entered the data, once you click on save button, record will be creating inside the object. How? Because of some business logic. When you click on delete button, it will really delete that current record. How? Because of some business logic. Now, in this case, whenever once you click on a button control, automatically it will do certain operations behind the screen. So how it is performing? To perform these operations, it requires some business logics. That business logic we can implement through with the help of Apex programming. So Apex programming is used to build the custom business logics which can be used to perform certain operations inside your application. Inside the application, whatever the operations you want to do, that operations related business logics we can implement. Now, here you can raise a question. So do we need to implement very small business logics, or do we have any functionality to implement complex also? Yes, both we can implement. Through Apex programming, any kind of business logic you can implement. It may be simple, it may be complex, whatever. Like if you want to build some small validations, and if you want to build your own custom validations or complex validations, and preparing some duplication elimination mechanisms. If you want to do any complex business transactions, it may be banking related, finance related, anything, whatever you want, we can build by using Apex programming. So by using this Apex programming, we can build the simple validations and complex validations, complex business transactions also we can implement with the help of Apex programming. That is a capability. So not only writing some small validations, we can implement complex business transactions also through Apex programming. So in this case, whenever we are writing this piece of code by using this Apex programming, Apex provides so many internal features which we can use upon writing the business logics. Like as part of this Apex programming, we are having some collection of built-in features are available. Now, let's see. What are those collection of built-in features that we have? Now, let me explain. So as part of this Apex programming, we have a built-in feature called as SOQL queries. We have a built-in feature called as SOQL queries. So which is especially used to fetch some data from the Salesforce object. So already you have stored so much data inside your Salesforce objects. It may be standard, it may be custom. It may be independent objects, it may be related objects also. So we have stored the data inside your Salesforce object. So in some cases, I want to fetch the data from the Salesforce object, and those records I would like to represent on my screen. It may be on my lighting component also. It may be on my Visual Force page also. I would like to represent those records in the form of a table or structure. So in that case, whatever the data that we have inside your Salesforce objects, we can fetch the data from the object through programming with the help of a feature called as SOQL queries. SOQL stands for Salesforce Object Query Language. Salesforce Object Query Language. With the help of this Salesforce Object Query Language, we can fetch either one record or multiple records from the Salesforce object, and we can represent those records on the screen wherever you want. It's your choice. Now, and along with that, Salesforce provides a search engine that is called as SOSL. Salesforce provides a search engine called as SOSL. Generally, whenever we are searching for some data in the internet, we are using Google search engine. So to search some data, which will be searching in the various websites available in the internet. But now I have my Salesforce objects are available, which are having so many records inside that. Now I would like to search for some data inside my Salesforce objects. In my Salesforce org, whatever the objects that we have, in those objects, I would like to search for some data. So whenever if you want to search some content, then we can use the help of a search engine called as SOSL. So Salesforce Object Search Language. By using this Salesforce Object Search Language, we can search for the required content from the Salesforce objects. Multiple objects we can able to search. And so now, as part of this Apex programming, not only we are able to fetch the data, and on those records, we can perform some DML operations also. We can perform few DML operations also. Then what do you mean by DML operations? Data manipulation language, like inserting the records, updating the records, deleting the records, restoring the records back. We can do all these operations. So through Apex programming, we can perform the required operations on your Salesforce object records with the help of DML statements. As part of this Apex programming, we are having this DML statements. With the help of this DML statements, we can perform the operations on your Salesforce object records. That facility is available. Now you can raise a question. So why should we go for Apex programming? Already we have data loader to do this. Because through data loader, what we can do? With the help of data loader, we can perform both import and export operations. Then how many records we can able to process? Through data loader, we can able to process maximum of 5 million records. That means 50 lakhs records we can process through data loader. That is the capacity of data loader. And the two, data loader can interact with only one object at a time, not with multiple. Now, in this case here, if you want to interact with some multiple objects at a time, then we can go with the help of Apex programming. Through Apex programming, we can interact with multiple objects also at a time, which may be related, which may be independent also. So we can create independent records, we can create bulk records, and we can manage related records also through Apex programming with the help of DML statements. And that too, as part of this Apex programming, it is having the capability to process millions of records also. It is having the capability to process millions of records also, like up to maximum of 50 million records we can able to process by using this Apex programming with the help of a feature called as batch programming. Now, so with the help of this Apex programming, it is having a feature called as a batch programming. Through this batch programming feature, we can able to process maximum of 50 million records in one shot. Not only 5 million like as a data loader, 50 million records we can process at a time through Apex programming with the help of a feature called as batch programming. That flexibility is available. Now, so in this case, by using this Apex programming, we are able to perform all these operations. We can perform DML operations also. We can export the data through SOQL queries. We can search for the required content through SOSL queries. We can perform the operations on some millions of records also. But not only this, through this Apex programming, we can make our Salesforce application to be integrated with the third-party systems also. So we can integrate your Salesforce application with any third-party systems. It may be banking or finance or insurance or with any application also we can make it integrated. That flexibility is available through Apex programming. Now, in this case, while writing the code by using this Apex programming, we have to follow certain principles because each programming language is having its own rules, its own principles, its own standards, its own guidelines, its own limitations also. So here also as part of Apex programming, there are few principles which we used to follow while writing the Apex programming code to implement the custom business logics. Now, the best basic principle is whenever we are going to be writing this Apex programming, each statement in Apex programming should be ends with a semicolon. That is a basic rule. Upon writing this Apex programming code or upon building the business logic, each statement in Apex programming should be ends with a semicolon, which indicates this is the end of the statement. Like generally, whenever we are writing some content in terms of paragraph, For every sentence, we are giving a full stop. That full stop is indicating this is the end of the statement. Like the similar passion, while building the business logic through Apex programming, each statement should be ends with a semicolon, which indicate this is the end of this statement. Now, the second principle is this is one of the major benefit in Apex programming that Apex is not a case sensitive programming. When you go to some other programming, like for example, when you go to some Java programming, Java is purely case sensitive. We need to take care about uppercase letters, lowercase letters while writing the code. But in Apex programming, Apex is not a case sensitive programming. We can write that Apex programming code by using any character case. We can write the complete code in uppercase letters or lowercase letters or a combination of both also. We can mix together. That is a major advantage for developers upon using Apex programming. So Apex is not a case sensitive programming language. Apex code we can able to implement by using any character case. Now, the two in Apex programming, Salesforce has given the limitation that we can write maximum of 60 lakhs characters code. Upon writing the code, Salesforce will be keep on counting that we can able to write maximum 60 lakhs characters code, not more than that. Why? Why Salesforce has given the limitation? In other programming languages, so we don't have this kind of limitations over here. Now, why in Salesforce? Because that already you are done with configuration. Salesforce is always enforcing the developers, don't go to the development part always. First of all, whenever we are getting any requirement, then please go to that configuration part, check it out, whatever the automation rules given by Salesforce. As part of configuration, they have given so many automation rules like validation rules, and then we are having duplication rules, and then we have formulas, roll-up summary, sharing rules, assignment rules, auto response rules, escalation rules, workflow rules, process builder, lightning flows, so many things we have discussed. That means those are all our automation rules given by Salesforce, which can be used to make certain things automated just by using mouse clicks without writing any code. So, as part of Salesforce, they have given so many out of the box features that means automation rules to configure the business logics just by using mouse clicks. So, in this case, don't come to the development always. Whenever you are getting a requirement, first of all, check whether it is possible through configuration or not. If possible, then go ahead with that. If that is not at all possible, then only come to the development so that we can implement through Apex programming. So that here, as part of Salesforce, they have given the restriction upon writing the code. Every character will be counting by Salesforce, including spaces, including special characters also. Salesforce will count internally so that we can able to write maximum of 60 lakhs of characters code, not more than that. That is a limitation. Let me show you with a practical so that you can understand. Now I'm going to my Salesforce org now. So let me go to my Salesforce org. I'm going to my Salesforce org. Now, let's go to my Salesforce org. Now go to the quick find box in the left panel. Search for the option Apex classes. In the left panel, search for the option Apex classes in the quick find box. Now it will populate that. Whatever the Apex classes you have prepared in the past, those will be getting populating over here. Here we can see very clearly it will be indicating that by Salesforce. Now, here it is indicating this. we can able to see very clearly. Now here we can able to identify. Now you are currently using 6,507 characters of Apex code in your organization out of an allowed limit of 60 lakhs characters. So within your Salesforce org, that means it's not specific to the user, it's not specific to the application, overall organization wide, including all the application, including all the users in the whole organization wide, we can able to write maximum of 60 lakhs characters code, not more than that. Now, so in this case, you can raise a question. Suppose we are building a project in the real-time environment. So we are keep on building some new functionalities. So whatever the 60 lakhs characters length given by Salesforce, we almost reached that limitation. But still, we need to implement some more functionalities. So we need to extend this number of characters from 60 lakhs to 1 crore or 1.5 crore. Do we have any such possibility? Yes. That is possible only in licensed editions. What are the licensed editions that we have, like as Enterprise Edition, and then we are having Unlimited Edition, and then Einstein 1 Sales Edition. In this edition only, this will be possible. In free developer edition, whatever the developer edition that we are using right now, in this developer edition, we don't have the option to extend the number of characters because the 60 lakhs characters length is fixed, which can be extendable. We don't have any such options. In paid editions, that means licensed editions like Enterprise, Unlimited Edition, Einstein 1 Sales Edition, in those editions, we are having the facility to extend the number of characters by contacting our Salesforce administrator. That facility is available now. So while writing the Apex programming code, always don't come to the development here. Go to the configuration, implement the features by using mouse clicks. If those are not at all suitable, then only come to the development here. Now, so these are the various features are available over here. Now, so these are the various features. So we have discussed that here. So as part of this Apex programming, we have discussed about the various fundamental features of Apex programming. So let me recap these features over here one more time. So simply like we can say, if anybody asks a question, what do you mean by this Apex programming? What we can say, Apex is a cloud-based Apex programming language offered by Salesforce as part of Force.com platform, which can be used to develop our own custom applications. In order to develop our own application, to build the business logics, we are using Apex programming. Simple concept. So by using Apex programming, we can build complex functionalities, complex business logics, simple validations, complex business transactions, everything we can implement. And through this Apex programming, we can connect with our Salesforce objects and we can perform all the DML operations also, like insert, update, delete. We can do all the operations. And along with that, we can fetch the records from the object through SOQL queries. And we can able to search some data by using a search language called as SOSL. And through Apex programming, we can integrate our Salesforce applications with third-party systems also. And whenever we are going to be using this Apex programming, we can process more number of records through Apex programming. Like as a millions of records also, we can process through Apex programming. That flexibility is available. And while using this Apex programming, the major benefit is Apex is not a case-sensitive programming language. Apex is not a case-sensitive programming, so we can write the Apex programming code by using any character case. Clear? Any questions till now? If you have any questions, let me know.
Yeah, one question. Actually,
Yes,
two
tell me.
questions.
Yeah.
One. So we have Apex to create the business logics and all the validation, right? Can we just use Apex for the like a backend and not at all use LWC, just use the existing UI elements? Is it possible? I mean,
Now,
just
so
use it.
basically this. So from the front end elements, whatever the front end elements you are going to design by using this Lightning Web Components also, there we are having built-in validation through JavaScript. So in the backend, if you want to do some complex validations, then we can go with Apex. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Second question.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed, but so the 6 million characters, right, in total.
Right.
So is it possible to extend that with additional license?
Right. When you go to that, okay, license and editions. Like here, already you know, Salesforce offers 5 paid editions and then 2 free editions. Like we are
Okay.
having 5 paid editions, like a starter suite edition, pro suite edition, and then enterprise, unlimited, and then Einstein one. And
Okay.
Force.com platform has introduced from enterprise edition onwards. So in the paid editions, we can extend the number of characters through by contacting our Salesforce administrator in our project. So if it is a
Oh,
free developer edition, we can't extend that. No chance.
so this 6 million is for the free development edition?
Yes. For the free
Oh,
developer edition also, they have given 6 million. And for that enterprise also, they will be giving 6 million initially. And then in future, they need, they can extend it.
okay. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. No.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is there any edition that's not requires this kind of limitation for characters code?
No, we don't have that here because here we don't have any restriction for that licensed edition. So keep on, we can able to extend. Initially, they will be giving that limitation of 60 lakhs, and then we can extend to 1 crore, 1.5 crore, 2 crores, 3 crores also. We can keep on extend, depends upon the modules you are going to implement, depends upon the complexity of the business logics which you are going to implement. We can keep on extend it. No
Okay,
limitation at all.
got you. Another question is you mentioned Apex cloud-based programming language
Right.
because it's totally different from the Java, which is we need to install in our local machine.
Right.
And it's run in browser, right? I mean, with internet.
Right.
So that's what we call Apex a cloud-based programming language. How about JavaScript? We don't need to install JavaScript. Can we call JavaScript also as like cloud-based programming language?
No, Java is not a cloud-based programming. Java is
No.
purely
I'm talking about
it's
JavaScript, not Java.
now
JavaScript.
okay.
We don't
Now,
need to install JavaScript in our
yeah,
local machine.
basically JavaScript is not a cloud-based programming. JavaScript is only a client-side programming language which will be executing within the browser itself. It doesn't require any server environment to execute it because JavaScript doesn't require any environmental setup. JavaScript will be executing within the browser.
How about Apex? Apex does require to environmental setup.
Now, in Apex programming, we no need to install anything in our local device. But to run the Apex programming code, we have to connect to that Salesforce Arc. That means we need to interact with Force.com platform. That means Salesforce server. Inside the Salesforce server, it will compile, it will execute, it will store over there.
So basically, Apex cannot exist without like Salesforce org, right?
Right,
It
right.
only
Inside the
one.
Salesforce Arc only, it will be storing that whole code. From there, we can able to execute, we can see the results.
Okay. I also see on DML operation. Is it DML operation? It's like it's the same as a CRUD operation.
Yes, right. CRUD operation, DML operation, both are same.
The same concept. Okay.
Right, right,
Could you
right.
please
Same
go
data.
back to like slide 1? First slide.
Okay.
No, probably it's in your notes. Yeah. Yeah, my question is about like SaaS, PaaS, IaaS. So we're currently working on second one, right? Like a PaaS
Right.
platform.
Currently, right. Already you are done with this SaaS part. That is Salesforce CRM. You are already done. So now we are using platform.
I mean, you mean already done? It's like update. People don't use SaaS anymore.
No, they will be using that SaaS also because till now we have used SaaS, right? As of now, I think almost since last 1.5 months, we have implemented so many features, right? In Salesforce Arc, validations, creating applications, objects, relations, all these things you did, right? So that is
Yeah.
comes under that SaaS part.
Oh, okay.
That is purely no programming, purely mouse clicks by using declaratively, we can do all the things.
Oh, okay. So whatever admin part we have done so far,
That's it.
on
Configuration means admin part. That means Salesforce CRM part. There you have used sales application, service application, lead conversions, and all these things you did right. That is part of Salesforce CRM.
okay. Platform as a service. Okay. How about IaaS, like infrastructure as a service? This is
Right.
something related like cloud service.
Yes, that is also cloud service. Because as of now, you have stored so much data inside your Salesforce objects like lead records, campaign records, opportunity records, accounts, contacts, cases. That whole data will store where? Inside the Salesforce server.
Okay.
So to store the data, we require some memory space to be get allocated on Salesforce server. See, I think you know that concept here. Like already you know what are the various editions of Salesforce. During that Salesforce CRM, you might be aware of. Like whenever you are going to be creating a new Salesforce account, which is of type a paid edition, like for example, if you have created a unlimited edition of Salesforce, Salesforce will allocate 20 GB of memory space on the Salesforce server. They will allocate 20 GB. See, for example, simple concept. Whenever I'm creating a new Gmail account, Google people are allocating 15 GB of space, 1.5. In that 15 GB, all my emails, my pictures, and then photos and documents, everything we can store inside that Google Drive and all these things. That will be a
Yeah.
total 15 GB space. For your account, 15 GB, and for other person account, 15 GB, like that. For each customer, Google people are allocating 15 GB of space. Like that, whenever you are creating a new Salesforce account, which is of type unlimited edition, Salesforce will allocate 20 GB of space. In that 20 GB space, your records will get stored over there.
Okay.
Okay. For our free developer edition, Salesforce will allocate 25 MB. For Salesforce, okay, free developer edition, 25 MB of storage space will be allocating by Salesforce.
Last question is about Visualforce. Are we going to learn Visualforce programming language?
No, not required. Not required. Visualforce is almost outdated. It's like as a dead. So because for Visualforce, we are having the replacement Lightning Web Components. Visualforce is for a user interface design, but that is not compatible with the mobile apps. So Salesforce introduced Lightning Web Components in 2018 December, almost in 2019 they have introduced.
Okay.
Okay.
So you don't think we need to learn about Visual programming languages?
No, not required, not required. So we are going to be discussing Apex programming and the latest framework that is LWC.
We're not going to be asked question about Visual programming language.
Sorry?
Even though like during the interview, we're not going to be asked question
No,
about.
because no, they won't. Nobody is asking for the Visualforce nowadays because all the Salesforce projects are almost migrated to Lightning framework. So nowadays everybody is expecting configuration, that means admin part, and then Apex, and then LWC. These three should be the must and should.
Okay. When you say like end of 2018, it was introduced. It was like a beta. You just mentioned LWC was introduced December 2018.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was like officially start using by end of 2018.
Yes, right. From December 2018 onwards, they have introduced this Lightning Web Component Framework. Almost they have introduced 5 years back.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
No
Now,
more questions.
thank you. So now, as of now, we have discussed what exactly this Apex programming and what we can do. Now, so whenever we are going to be writing some piece of code through this Apex programming, how this Apex programming code will get executed internally. What is Apex programming execution lifecycle? Now, let's see. Let's see the Apex programming execution lifecycle process. So this is the typical architecture of an Apex programming execution lifecycle. Let me explain what exactly this lifecycle architecture and how an Apex program will get compiled, how it will get executes. Okay, we'll see. If you know this flow, then you can understand very easily how to write the code, where to write, and where it will store, everything we'll see. Now, let's see. Now, let me explain. Suppose, for example, I'm a Salesforce developer. Assume that myself, I'm a Salesforce developer. I'm working in a company as a Salesforce developer. So since last 6 months, I'm working on a project. So assume that Akbar is my project manager. Every day, my manager is assigning some requirements to me so that I need to work on those requirements. And by end of the day, I have to update the status back to my manager. So since last 6 months, I'm working in the project. So till now, he has given so many requirements to me in the last 6 months. Those are purely related to configuration. That means admin related tasks he has assigned to me. I have worked on those requirements and then I have submitted those requirements. I have updated the status. Now, today, my manager has assigned a requirement to me, which is purely related to development task. So today he asked me, Firoz, this is the new requirement that we have as part of this project development. So this is purely related to Apex programming. So please write some piece of code through this Apex programming to fulfill this business logic. So please complete the task by today end of the day. So he asked me to write some business logic through Apex. So in this case here, we are going to be writing the code. It's my responsibility as a development member. I need to write some piece of code. So I'm writing some piece of code by using Apex programming. Then where we can write? Where we can write? So in order to write this Apex programming code, we are not installing anything in our local environment. We are not using any editors inside our local system. In order to write that piece of code, we are purely using browser. We are purely using browser. Inside the browser itself, we are going to be writing that piece of code. So Salesforce is providing some cloud-based editors which can be accessible through browser and internet access. So with the help of this browser-based editor, I would like to write the piece of code. Then how to access those things, we'll see in the next session. I will show you. How can we go to that cloud-based editors, how to access them, we'll see. So because that already told you, Apex is purely cloud-based. No need to install anything in our local system. Like if you want to write some code through Java, we have to install some editors, like as VEdit Plus or Eclipse editor, like that. But in Salesforce, you don't need to do anything. Directly, we can write the code by using browser and internet access. Inside the browser, we can able to write that piece of code. So we are accessing a browser-based editor. Inside that editor, we are writing some Apex programming code. So whatever the code we have written through Apex programming, this code will be storing inside a file, right? Yes, definitely. Whatever the code we are writing, that code will be storing inside a file with the extension .apxc. With the extension .apxc. Like for example, whenever I'm writing some piece of code through Java, it will store inside the file with the extension Java. Java programming code will store inside the file with the extension .java. If I'm preparing a normal notepad, it is having the extension .txt. If it is a Word document, .doc or .docx. Like that, each Apex programming code, each Apex class code will store inside the file with the extension .apxc. APXC means APX means Apex, C means class. Okay, Apex class. So each Apex class code will store inside the file with the extension .apxc. So once the code has been written inside this particular editor, then this code will not be saving in my local system, because my local system is just a dummy system to connect to the internet. Nothing will be there in my local device. So whatever the code we have written, as soon as once you click on this save button, immediately this code will be sending to the force.com platform. It will be sending this code to the force.com platform. That means Salesforce server. So where is this Salesforce server? Somewhere it is in US or UK, Germany, Japan, in different locations. So it will send the request to Salesforce server. Because this code is not executing in my local system, this code is not storing in my local system, so this code will be executing inside the Salesforce server. So it will send the request to the Salesforce server, which is in different locations, like as it may be US or UK, Germany, Japan. In different locations, Salesforce is having their own servers. So inside that server, they're having force.com platform. So my request will be sending to that force.com platform. So this is an uncompiled request. Uncompiled means what? Whatever the code we have written in this editor, this code might be having some syntactical mistakes. This code is not yet verified. Maybe it is having some syntactical mistakes. Now, so this code is not yet compiled as of now. This uncompiled code will be sending to force.com platform as a request. So as soon as whenever the code is sending to the force.com platform, in this force.com platform, we have two components are available. First one, application server. Second one, metadata repository. These are the two components are available in force.com platform. First one, application server. What is the responsibility of application server? Basically, application server will take care of compiling your code and executing your code. So in order to compile your Apex programming code and to execute your Apex programming code, whatever the resources are required, all are available inside the application server. And then once the code has been getting compiled, then it will be storing inside a location called as metadata repository. Observe the scenario. Whatever the code we have written, that code is not storing in my local system. It is storing inside Salesforce server inside that metadata repository. Metadata repository is a location where all the Apex classes, your Visual Force pages, your triggers, your batch classes, scheduled classes, web services, APIs, Lightning components, all these things will be getting resides inside the metadata repository. So generally, when you go to other programming languages, after writing the code, we have to store them in our local system, okay, in the required folder. But here in Salesforce, in my local system, nothing will be there. Just it's a dummy system. So whatever the code we have written, that code will be storing inside that force.com platform in metadata repository. These are the two components are available here as part of this Salesforce server. Inside this force.com platform, we have these two components are available, application server and metadata repository. So as soon as once you click on this save button after writing the code, this uncompiled code will be sending to the force.com platform. Now in this force.com platform, it will send the code to that application server first. First, it will send the code to application server. In application server, we have two more components are available, like Apex compiler, Apex runtime engine. Then what is Apex compiler? Basically, Apex compiler is going to be verifying the line by line syntaxes. That means it will compile the code. Compiling the code means what? Verifying line by line syntax. So whatever the code we have written till now, in this code, do we have any syntactical mistakes available or not? whether developer has followed all the rules, principles, standards, and guidelines of Apex programming language or not. Okay, they will cross check everything over here. So that here we are having this Apex compiler. Apex compiler's main responsibility is it should compile the code. That means it will check line by line syntax. Like for example, generally, whenever if we want to send one email to your client, we are preparing the email content. Once the content is ready, before sending this email to the client, before click on send button, we will cross check that content once. Because maybe do we have any syntactical mistakes in the code? Is the sentence formation is correct or not? The whole information is available or not? Or do we have any grammatical mistakes available? We'll cross check all these things. If there is any grammatical mistakes, we can correct them and then we can able to send it. Like the similar passion here also, whatever the code we have written in that code, do we have any syntactical mistakes available or not? It will cross check that with the help of Apex compiler. So Apex compiler will verify each and every line by line syntax first. So upon verifying this syntaxes, if there is any syntactical mistakes are available, immediately it will send the response back to the developer. Dear developer, in your code, there are some syntactical mistakes are available. So we can't go ahead with this code. We can't execute. We can't run that code. So please go to the code, modify the code, rectify the code by following the rules and principles of Apex programming and resubmit the code for recompilation process. So that means what? Whenever we are trying to be compiling this code, if there is any syntactical mistakes are available, immediately the code will be returning back to the developer. So to correct those mistakes. Now we have to modify the code and then resubmit the code for recompilation process again. Then it will compile this code again from first line to till last line. It will check line by line syntax. Now, so now in this case here, second time, whenever it is verifying that syntaxes, if there is no syntactical mistakes are available, code is perfect, no syntactical mistakes, then immediately this code will be storing inside the metadata repository. Observe the scenario. So metadata repository will store purely compiled code. Only the compiled code will store inside metadata repository. Compiled code means what? Only quality code. We don't have any issues in the code. The code doesn't have any issues. Only the quality code will be storing inside the metadata repository. Now, so that here, once the code has been compiled successfully, this compiled code will be storing inside the metadata repository, and a copy of that Apex class code will store into a separate object called as Apex class object. Apex class is a standard object. Now, like for example, all the lead records will be storing in which object? Lead object. Campaign records will store in campaign object. User records will store in user object. Like that, all the Apex classes information will store in Apex class object. Apex class is a standard object in Salesforce which contains all the Apex classes which you have prepared in your Salesforce org. Now, so now once the class code has been stored in the metadata repository, then a copy of that Apex class code will store inside that Apex class object. Then, so now from there, now the Apex class, Apex compiler is going to be informing to the Apex runtime engine. So to indicate, dear Apex runtime engine, just now I have compiled an Apex class code. This is the class name. The code is already there in the metadata repository. Please bring the code from the metadata repository and come execute that code, generate the response that will result, send the result back to the developer. So in this case, now the Apex compiler is going to be giving an indication to the Apex runtime engine to collect the code from metadata repository and to execute. Now immediately Apex runtime engine will make a request to that metadata repository to collect that code based on the class name. Now it is requesting for that Apex class code. Now the metadata repository will collect that Apex class code. It will send that code back to the Apex runtime engine. Now Apex runtime engine will take care of executing the code. It will collect the code. It will execute the code also. Now, in this case, inside that code, if you have written any SOQL queries, then any SYSL queries, then If I written any DML statements, then it will be interacting with the database to perform the operations on your Salesforce objects. So it should interact with the database so that it is going to be interacting with your Salesforce objects also. So what is the database for Salesforce? Salesforce is using its own database here that is called as database.com. Database.com is the customized database of Salesforce where all the Salesforce objects and the records will get resides. So it will be interacting with the database.com to perform the required DML operations, like as insert, update, delete, all these crude operations it will perform. Once operations has been done, then it will be generating the result. So whatever the results they have generated, this result we need to forward to that user. That means to the developer. Then how the developer can see inside the browser? If you want to see some content in the browser, it should be in the form of HTML format. So that whatever the result has been generated, this result will be representing in the form of HTML format. This HTML format of response will be sending back to the developer. So the developer can able to see this result in the form of a log file that is called as debug log file. Okay, debug log file. So whatever the result has been generated by the Apex runtime engine, the result will be storing inside a log file called as debug log file. And this debug log file, it will be sending to the developer so that he can able to see the result also. So this is the background process will be happening as part of your Apex programming. Simply we can say, now let me give in terms of points wise. So as part of Apex programming code will be getting executed through Salesforce server. Inside the Salesforce server, it will get compiled, it will get executed. Each Apex class code will store inside the file with the extension .apxc. Now, each Apex class code will get compiled by using Apex compiler. With the help of Apex compiler, it will be compiling the code. And each Apex class code will get executed by using an Apex runtime engine. Apex runtime engine is a component which will be taking care of executing your Apex programming code. And compiled code will store inside the metadata repository. Whatever the Apex code that we have written, that compiled code, that quality code, no issues available in the code. Code is syntactically perfect. No syntactical mistakes in the code. That code is called as compiled code. That compiled code will store inside metadata repository. And all the Apex classes code will store inside an object called as Apex class object. Apex class is a standard object in Salesforce where exactly all the Apex classes information will get resides. And each Apex programming result the user can see in the form of a log file called as debug log file. So debug log file is the result file generated by Salesforce, which will be used to see the Apex programming result. Whatever the Apex code that we have implemented, that Apex code result we can able to see with the help of debug log file. So basically, debug log file will track the complete history of the program execution. Upon executing that program, whatever the process happened behind the screen, that whole process will be tracking inside this debug log file. Like upon executing that code, okay, how many DML statements you have used, how many SOQL queries you have used, how many SOSL queries you have used, how many email notifications you have sent, how much CPU cycle time you have used, how much heap memory that you have used, how many emails you have sent to the people, how many web services you have invoked. The whole information will track inside debug log file. When moving forward, I will show you with the practical where we can see all this information. I will show you with the practical over there. These are the most important points that we should be aware of. So from now onwards, whenever we are writing any Apex programming code, that each Apex programming code will be executing with this lifecycle process. Okay, the complete Apex programming functionalities will be executing in this lifecycle process. You can write any Apex program also. This is the background process will happen behind the screen. Okay, clear up to this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one question.
Just tell me.
My question is about Apex runtime engine. So the Apex runtime engine is not going to start until compiled or quality code is saved in metadata repository, right?
Right, because here Apex runtime engine will be only taking care of executing that code. So
Yes.
whatever the code that you have prepared, that compiled code will store inside the metadata repository. It will make a request to the metadata repository, whatever the class code it needs. It will bring the code from that metadata repository. It will execute it. It will send the response back to the developer.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, so this is how a Apex program will get executed internally behind the screen. Now, so in this case, how can we write an Apex program? And then what are the various fundamental building blocks? Like here, as part of Apex programming, whenever we are going to be writing this Apex programming code, we have to use some set of fundamental building blocks. We have to use some set of fundamental building blocks. Then what are the various fundamental building blocks that we have in Apex programming? Let's see. As part of this Apex programming, we have 7 fundamental building blocks are available. Building blocks means these are the various basic elements which we can use to construct or to build the Apex programming code. Like for example, whenever if you want to write some content through English, then we are using so many fundamental basic things. Like we are going to be using some words also, and then we are using some grammar also to prepare some grammatical sentences. That means grammatic based on the grammar, we can able to form some sentences. We can combine the group of sentences to make it as a paragraph to convey the required information. Like the similar passion here also, we have some set of fundamental building blocks as part of Apex programming. Like we have the 7 fundamental building blocks. Let me explain what are those 7 fundamental building blocks that we have. In Apex programming, we have 7 fundamental building blocks. First one, we have data types. Second one, variables. Third one, operators. Fourth one, output statements. Fifth one, conditional statements. Sixth one, iterative statements. And the seventh one, arrays. These are the 7 fundamental building blocks are available as part of this Apex programming. Then what are these each and every feature, like as the data types, variables, operators, output statements, conditional statements, everything we'll see one by one from tomorrow onwards. From tomorrow onwards, we are going to be discussing each and every fundamental building block. Because whenever we are working with any programming language, these 7 fundamental features are fixed. You can take any programming language. It may be C programming, C++, Java, Python, JavaScript. When moving forward, we are going to learn JavaScript also as part of Lightning Web Component Framework. There also, these 7 features are fixed. If you know these 7 features perfectly in Apex programming, then you can learn any programming language by your own. Because everywhere these 7 features are fixed, but little bit syntactical differences, that's it. Functionality wise, that is common. But syntactical wise, it will be having some little bit changes in syntaxes, that's it. Then how to use these fundamental building blocks to write some business logics in Apex programming, we'll see practically from tomorrow onwards. Okay, so tomorrow onwards we'll be starting these programming elements like data types and then variables, operators, everything. Every functionality I will discuss in detail. I will be showing with practical use cases. Okay.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
Thank you all. Thanks for your time.
Thank
Let's
you.
meet on tomorrow at same time. So we'll be spending some more time from tomorrow onwards because today is our first session. So I have given that overview of Apex programming. From tomorrow onwards, we'll spend some more time as well.
Okay,
All right.
sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you all.